Well, it looks like the time has finally come. We're going to start on this project, the 21 FE version 2. Here is some of the goodies that it comes with. It's pretty cool that it gives you damn near everything you need. Push this out. I'm excited to have a big hydro. It looks like everything for your servo, your collet, your boot, your mount, Velcro, water inlet through hole, water outlet, heavy duty blue silicone. Looks like they even give you a prop. Check that out. Servo, rudder, rear strut bracket. This is your pre-bent stuffing tube. Kind of curious. I want to open up this prop here. See what we get. An A45. We actually have this prop from Zip Kits in our collection already, but that'll be a cool prop. Then we have our pre-cut, laser cut wood. Everything's gonna have to be popped out. We've got this little package of goodies here. Looks like our boom tube ends, aluminum plate, that's probably your motor mount, I would assume. Boom tube collars, and a gigantic, absolutely huge turn pin. Oh my bejesus, that is huge. And we have our cover here. Cool. Well, I'm going to start organizing and reading the instructions, because this is not something that we can just put together based on pictures like the little shrimp rigger. So we're going to try to do this and be halfway professional about it. And I will let y'all know what I find in and throughout this process. Take you a little bit along with me. We'll do a 2 or 3 video tutorial on putting it together. And then we'll hopefully get this out and run over the next few weeks. So just bear with me, stay tuned, and we'll see what happens. So we are now on to day 2. I got the sides and all the inner pieces glued in last night following the instructions, motor mount and everything today, and I had glued on the 2 pieces of the rear transom. So I had to let it all set up, or if I didn't, it was kind of wiggly wobbly. So it was kind of like really important that you didn't want one side or the other side like skewed. So it was really, really difficult. So that's why I kind of focused on just doing the center pieces with the 2 halves. And what I ended up doing, I ended up taking the bottom piece, because the bottom piece has all these like locking channels, is after I got it on there, I could tell when I like let it go vertical that it was leaning one way. Well, that meant the hole wasn't going to be straight. So what I did, after I put the tape on it, I ended up popping the bottom in, and you could tell it was about 1/8 of an inch off. So once you slide the bottom track into place, and you just kind of, I set some batteries on it to where it held it there, then that lined everything up perfectly. And then when I would actually hold it straight up and down, she would balance on the nose perfectly. So I've got it left and right straight. So what I had to do now was glue in the transom. Now everything in the instructions says to use like this liquid tight 3 wood glue. I don't have it, and I feel like this G-Flex may give me a better bond. Not really sure, don't really think about gluing a boat together with wood glue is the most excellent of ideas. But in the instructions it does say to glue the motor mount in with epoxy. So I said, well, if they want something stronger, and plus it's dissimilar, it's metal to wood, but I felt like the G-Flex may do a little bit better than the wood glue. I'm not really sure. Wood glue actually does do really good. We've glued a lot of stuff together, you know, laminates, tabletop, stuff like that, but I just don't have it with me, so I feel like we're going to try to use the G-Flex here, but maybe killing myself in the long run, may not be as good, who knows, but kind of going against the instructions on that. But it did mention Gorilla Glue, and it explained the difference between this, that, and the other thing. So I was like, since I glued the shrimp rigger together with this, it has done really good. I only had one issue with this coming off, which was me forcing the battery in it and popping the nose off. So this is really good. It just takes so long to dry and cure. So we're going to use this stuff, which is pretty much like 30-45 minute epoxy. After about 2 hours, you can take it off. So I've got it clamped, I've got the battery on it, and then I will start the next process. Now it's day 3. I've got the rear transom all glued in, epoxied in, looking good. Now these right here are basically what they call like bulkhead jigs. So you just kind of have these in there to make sure that your sides and everything are parallel, perpendicular, whatever you want to say. So that's what we use that for. This goes in and out a little bit easier. But I went ahead, second thing we did was we put this little rudder doubler on. It's actually a tripler, makes it thicker for when you mount the rudder and you drill it on the back. I've just got some CA glue holding that on right now. We'll add some epoxy in that little crack and crevice right there. Tried to sand a little bit of a bevel on it. The epoxy had gotten so thick in the corner it didn't want to butt all the way to the edge of the corner, which was fine. I'll fill that in with epoxy once we're done. And I got the nose on. Nose is nice and glued, so we're good there. The whole bottom is put in place. I had batteries. I got probably 12 of my batteries, and I put them on everywhere just to keep it down, keep it lined up. And then I had used this clamp. There was only one spot where I needed to squeeze, which was I think right here, to where I could get it nice and tight. Everywhere else was tight. The bottom piece being so thin, it actually came in with a slight bend to it. So I wanted to make sure that it stayed flush to the bottom of the hull. We still did the same thing. We used G-Flex, so that's why it's taken me so many days. Because G-Flex, while it does cure in about 4 hours, it doesn't want you doing anything harsh to it for about 24. It says 1 to 2 days full cure time, and then 4 hours to work with it. So I had glued the bottom in about 6 hours ago. So I'm going to work now with the front bottom. So it's basically this portion here, which is probably just going to be a nose cone. I have to figure out exactly which piece that is. I'm going to say that it's this one here. Yeah, FWD, FWD. So it's cool because everything's labeled in the instructions and the wood. So it makes it really simple. It's a time-consuming build, but it's pretty much straightforward. Now I'm working on basically the deck or the lid of the boat, and this is the underside that you're not going to see. You'd basically flip it over, and then that's where you would drop your top piece in, which are these pieces right here. So basically what I learned is, and you just follow the instructions, but we're using medium CA glue on this. You can kind of see how they've got the outline, but what I learned is don't glue it in a circle. You start at the bottom, then you do one side, then you do another side, and then you do the top, because that way it'll line up. And if one side is a little short, you can compensate. Let's see here. So you can kind of tell. See how we got a little bit of length on this side and the front is a little bit less? If you went in a circle, you wouldn't know that, and you would try to match the two, and then your side piece wouldn't fit because you would have it too much. So end up working out pretty good. So I got to work on doing this piece here. I've got one little tit right there. See these pieces? You got to make sure you cut all those and sand all those off. It is now the next day, and I've got an Offshore Electrics order. Some of the stuff is for this rigger, some of it's for a future rigger build. Went ahead and got me some of that Corrosion X. Got this big old monster honker of a prop. And just some other miscellaneous stuff. Little rudder, little servo, other little props like that. These little purple props are actually really good. But what I wanted to show you was this right here. The Kraken 180. And I'm having a hard time figuring out which speed control I want to use in this. And I did a couple test fits of a couple motors. Then I needed to determine what speed control we could fit inside this thing. I actually bought this because I couldn't figure out how big it was based on how big the 120 was. I didn't know if this speed control could actually fit in a rigger. Now let's go ahead and compare the Kraken 180 with the Shark G2 100. Look at that. 180, 100. Let's set the 100 on top of the Kraken 180. Look at that. Isn't that crazy? I'm going to say the Kraken is like 2 millimeters taller. If that. Same size battery leads. Smaller motor leads on the Shark 100. 2S to 6S LiPo, 3S to 6S LiPo, 5, 6 volt, 8 amp, 6 to 7.4 volt, 5 amp. So this has stronger servo power, I would assume. But I feel like the 100's probably not strong enough for what I wanted to do with it, you know. This is supposed to be a 180 with like a 200 amp burst or something like that. I don't really know much about riggers and how much weight they need and this, that, and the other thing, you know. Just trying to kind of figure it out as I go. I don't know if it goes here or, you know, does it go here or what? I don't know. I'm at the point in the instructions now where I have mounted my boom tube collars and their little supports, following the instructions. I didn't use epoxy. I was trying to tack in the supports with super glue, and I ended up having to break one of them loose because the super glue ran on it. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to super glue these in, and then I'm going to go back over top of it with epoxy. So I think that should hold, hopefully. Taking the liberty using this little sanding block here with some 60 grit, and I've knocked down any of the edges all the way down it. And I was kind of going back and forth. I really wanted to use this big honker of a Poseidon motor, the 3000 kV 4098. And just to show, it does fit. It will fit. Now, I'm not sure if it'll fit as far as like the top going on, but it seems like it would. Let's see here. Let's see. If it don't, it'd be barely over that. And then since this is a 98 length, I've got this here, which is a Leopard X2. This is a 4074 2650. And we could put that in its place. And I'm thinking about running this just because it's a little shorter. I've already got it on hand, 2650 kV. It ought to be plenty powerful enough for this thing. And I think with that, I could run it on 4S, maybe 5S. I doubt that would be a 6S capable motor. But just for mounting purposes, prep purposes, and first run purposes, I guess I could run that. And then I could tie it to the Kraken 180 and let it rip. But not really sure. Not really sure. The only other alternative, and I won't know until I actually get the rigger completely finished, I could reformulate this, which is the 160, and I guess that could go up there and plug directly in. The motor leads could plug directly into it, and yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure out something with the battery, or maybe the battery goes in the back. I just don't know. I'm new to all this, but I'll figure it out as time goes on. But this video is getting long, so I'm gonna go ahead and post it. Y'all leave me some comments, some constructive criticism in the comment section, and I'll catch y'all up with part 2 here in the next couple of days. So thank y'all for watching. Look forward to your comments in the comment section. I'll see y'all later.